The concept of story applies to teams, as you might imagine. There are really three layers of how this applies to creative problem solving in teams. The first layer is the individual, which we've just talked about. The individual has their own story about their creativity or how they solve problems. And if you have a story that you're not creative, you may be very quiet during a brainstorming session. So that's something to think about. What's the story you carry about yourself as you go into a team? The second thing, the second layer really, is the stories the team members carry about each other. So for example, one person may be getting ready to go into a team problem-solving meeting, and this is what's going through their mind. Well, I wonder what John's going to say today. He's always so far out there. He's got these crazy ideas, and he goes on and on. We've never implemented one of his ideas. It's a waste of time. I'll probably just not listen while he's talking. And yet another person going to the same meeting, talking about the same person in their mind, might be saying, I can hardly wait to see what John says today. He always has such creative ideas. He really pushes the edge of our thinking. Now, we don't very often implement his ideas, but we wouldn't get to where we are if we hadn't been pushed a little bit further. I can't wait to see what happens today. So now think about how you prepare for a team and the stories you already have about team members. Those can really shut you down or open you up to listening to their ideas. So it's amazing how that will impact the dynamics of your ability to do creative problem solving. Now, the third layer of this is how the team carries a story about itself. So a team can think that they're great, they can think they're always winners, or they can think they've always had failures. But whatever it is, the team is a subculture that has fought battles together and over time has developed their folklore or their story. And it can either support them or it can pull them down. Let me give you an example of a wonderful team that I was on. I worked for a very high technology company, global company, and I was fortunate to be part of a small startup team inside that company. And our responsibility was to work with that company's top clients to help them understand how the internet could be used for their business model, either the internet or their intranets. So this was leading edge stuff back in 2000 when I was working on this. And there were a lot of things we had to learn, and one person might be expert in one thing and another person in another area of expertise, and we were all around the globe. So we could check in almost any time of the day or night on instant message, and we would get help from our teammates. So it was tight, very tight-knit group, and the client benefited greatly from our focus and our tightness and having all this expertise. It was heady stuff. Now, looking back on it, I can see that we carried a story that we were invincible. That can work for you, but it also made us insular in this very large company of over 300,000 people. So we were this almost an island leading this leading edge thinking, but looking back on it, I know there were other people who had great ideas and they were around the periphery and we weren't taking those ideas in. And so what I can say to you as you work on your teams in problem solving, most of the times teams have to work with other teams. So be open and receptive to ideas that are outside your periphery. So what do teams do about this? How do they get past all of these stories to enhance their creativity? Well, the first thing is check your own story first. Look at what you think about yourself and your own creativity and your own abilities and challenge yourself. The second thing is challenge what you believe about other team members. Look for the evidence. How many times did Susie say an extraneous comment that seemed ridiculous? Maybe it was only once. So check those stories. And the third thing, as a team, and this is very important, you need to talk about the stories the team carries about itself. And are those stories helping you, or are they holding you back? Are they keeping you from seeing other things that you need to see in order to be the very best, most creative team in your problem solving? So do those 3 checks, but be sure the last one is with the entire team.